man, do we have a lot to discuss on this post-pay-per-view Monday, June 13th, 2022. What a card UFC 275 was. Maybe didn't have the biggest amount of hype and buzz going into it, but as the great Dana White likes to say, you can absolutely never judge a fight card going into it. You can't. You got to judge it after the fact. And if we are judging it after the fact, might be the best pay-per-view of the year so far, at least main card. All 5 fights on the main card were tremendous. The top 3 were super intriguing going in and a hell of a lot more intriguing going out. Incredible results. Zhang Weili looked better than she's ever looked before, and that includes when she won the belt in a matter of seconds. She looked incredible against Joanna Jedrzejczyk. It was a rematch of one of the best fights that we've ever seen, period. The greatest women's fight of all time, period. 2+ years in the making, and Zhang Weili looked fantastic, and she ended up beating Joanna Jedrzejczyk and doing so in incredible fashion. Spinning back fist, knockout of the year contender. Are you kidding me? Now, I saw Meatball Molly's tweet. I don't know if it's better than the spinning back elbow. Perhaps the stakes a little higher in this one. Regardless, who the hell cares? Tremendous win. And unfortunately, afterwards, we had the sad scene with Joanna Jedrzejczyk, and we'll talk about that more throughout the day. She has nothing to be ashamed of. She has nothing really to prove anymore. I know she wanted another crack at the belt. One of the greatest female fighters of all time, one of the greatest champions in UFC history. I don't know if the strawweight title is what it is today without her. She put that division, that belt on the map. She was incredible to cover, always very gracious, and in her prime as champion, just an absolute beast. Remember the Jessica Penne fight? Remember the Carla Esparza fight? Valerie Letourneau, just an absolute beast in her prime. And a sad scene afterwards. She was emotional. She put the gloves in the center of the cage on the mat. And now it looks like we're getting Zhang Weili versus Carla Esparza, which is a very interesting fight. And I don't think anyone was predicting at some point in 2022 that Zhang Weili would be fighting for the belt again. But here we are. That as a result of the somewhat surprising Rose Namajunas loss to Carla Esparza recently. So that was the third biggest fight on the card, if you will. Then we had Valentina Shevchenko against Taila Santos. Pretty big favorite. Not as big as usual. And you were wondering, all right, what do the odds makers see in Taila Santos? Of course, she has looked good in her last few fights, did stumble in her UFC debut. And wouldn't you know it, it sort of felt a little bit like Jones Gustafsson way back in the day where we gave no respect to the challenger. And then slowly but surely you're like, is something happening here? Is something going on here? Like, what are we actually witnessing? And I got to be honest, I got to watch it again. But upon viewing it live, didn't have a chance to watch it again yesterday. I'm going to be honest. My wife has been away for 5 days. The fact that I'm actually like here and alive and talking to you all and somewhat coherent is a victory in its own self because, I've been alone with the kids, the dog, all that stuff. But I, of course, watched the fights, stayed up to like 4 a.m., woke up at 7 a.m. You don't care about any of this. But the point is, I didn't get a chance to do my usual second viewing on a Sunday night. Here's the thing. I thought Taila was up 3-0 going into the fourth. And then we have the clash of heads. Accidental. I don't think it's fair to knock Valentina. I do think that was a massive, massive turn of events. I do think it hurt Taila Santos. I reported yesterday after speaking to her manager, Thiago, that she broke her orbital, right side of her face, has to have surgery now back home in Brazil. This is a really big deal. And interestingly enough, they told me, you know what? We're not going to bang the drum too hard on the immediate rematch. Of course, she has to get better. She has to have the surgery. That's going to take weeks, if not months. We like where she's at, and we think she could get even better. So why not take our time and we'll meet her again? Interesting, sensible perspective. But that was the closest that we've ever seen Valentina, closest to defeat possible at 125 by far. And of course, the last time we saw her lose was against Amanda Nunes in a fight that a lot of people thought she won back in Edmonton many moons ago. It was just a fascinating fight. And I think a lot closer than a lot of people, including me, including Valentina, thought it would, it would be that close. Valentina retains, she wins. Valiant effort, tremendous effort by Taila Santos. Then in the main event, Glover Teixeira, Jiri Prochazka. I mean, maybe the best, I think the second best light heavyweight title fight of all time, behind Jones Gustafsson, UFC 165. The ebbs and flows were incredible. And you could probably sit here and make a strong case that it's the best ever because of the ebbs and flows, because of the constant action. It was a lot more like Hendo Shogun in that regard, number one. And then because of the finish, Glover Teixeira, who I thought was up 3-1 going into the 5th, and a lot of people disagreed, ends up getting subbed with 28 seconds remaining. Jiri Prochazka is your new UFC light heavyweight champion, the pride of Czech Republic. And an hour or so ago, I shared this. A bunch of people did as well. There's a parade that just concluded in the Czech Republic. It's I think they're 6 hours ahead of us, so it's 7 o'clock over there now. In his honor, according to his manager, Tim Simpson, who was there, over 7,000 people attended, took him around town, had this huge, like, sort of culmination on the stage and everything. This is a big, big deal. A really big deal. Of course, his first title defense probably will be at the UFC Apex, but this is a big freaking deal. And one would think you'd want to go to Prague. You'd want to really build, this is how you build markets. This is how you build stars. And to see someone become a UFC champion for the first time and to see what it means to the country, first time a Czech native becomes a champion, it's really cool. You are reminded, it's nothing like what we have here. If an American wins like if Justin Gaethje would have won the belt, first one that comes to mind because he just fought for the belt, American, there ain't no parade with 7,000 people happening in Denver. It's just not the way it goes down because there's just so much more, right? There's NBA, there's NFL. So when someone from the Czech Republic, from Brazil, from Ireland, from, these places that don't have a ton of international superstars, it just comes across so much bigger and so much more exciting. More on that main event in a moment, more on the lineup in a second as well. I got a lot to discuss, a lot to say on this post-pay-per-view Monday. I'm fired. It was a great card. I like the June pay-per-view. I've always liked the June pay-per-view. It has always flown under the radar because the July one gets all the attention. But the June pay-per-view historically has always been a fun one. Of course, we had last year, we had Leon and Nate and Izzy was on the card way back. It was a UFC 72, I think it was. The Vancouver card 115, 131. Of course, the great 199, Michael Bisping. There's been a bunch over the years in June that don't get the shine and then end up delivering. Want to ask New York Rick about that. I've weighed in. I thought Santos was up 3-0 going into the 4th. What do you think, Rick? Were you watching it? Did you watch the fights on Saturday?
I mean, this again, we talk about this every week.
Of course, you were MMA fighting, social, Twitter, Instagram. What a fight.
Our team. Shout out.
No, I know. I'm saying you. Yes. Of course. Shout out. I'm watching Tyler Santos, and it reminded me a lot of Jones Gustafsson because, and then we end up getting another fight that's kind of like Jones Gustafsson in that it was a 205 fight in the main event. But I was like, is this really happening? Like, is this finally happening? And I know that we saw it a little bit with Jennifer Maia, but I feel like the Jennifer Maia was like one round, and because she's so invincible, we make such a big deal about that one round. But this wasn't one round. This was arguably 3 rounds. How did you have it going into the 4th? What did you think?
Yeah, I had Tyler up.
Yeah. So that means she should have won the fight.
Now, I will ask, John Jones is a thing for me. Just any mention of him makes me think a lot. I think he's the GOAT, and there's all kinds of stuff. I think a lot about John Jones.
No, of course.
You didn't think this maybe during Reyes? Like, to me, I feel like the Reyes fight was the one where I was finally like, is John Jones about to lose? Gustafsson, he had a great performance, but if you watch that back, I kind of feel like it was Jones.
Oh, no. I think this is revisionist history. Do you remember the build-up to Jones Gustafsson was like, oh, God, the only thing they had to sell us on Gustafsson was the length, the height, and all that. And then I remember talking to Jones before the fight. I was like, who's your guy? Who's going to be your biggest rival? And he was talking about Rashad. There was a little DC. And then Gus comes, and remember he starts taking him down. And then remember the spinning back fist in the 4th?
The elbow.
The elbow. Excuse me, the elbow. Changed everything. So by the time we got to Reyes, we had already seen the Thiago Santos fight. Like, we had already seen some sort of,
even Santos
cracks in the arm.
Had some moments.
Yeah. That to me was at that point. This was like prime John. This is killing Rampage, killing Machida.
And I didn't mean to take this in this direction, but again, this is like a thing for me. I think Shevchenko's looked vulnerable before too. Like, I just don't think she's
the one round against Jennifer Maia.
Yeah, but also the level of competition matters, right? Like, and one round against Jennifer Maia is still looking vulnerable. Like, and against Andrade, there's moments she's looked vulnerable. Again, these are fights she's winning, but like, I don't think, this is just me, I don't think Valentina is
Oh,
invulnerable. I really don't.
she the best female fighter in your opinion? She number one pound for pound?
No, she's not.
Who is?
Chris Cyborg.
Wow, this is a great. See, this is why we like having you around.
Yeah,
I mean,
Chris
this is-
Cyborg.
You and I
She's
had
not.
with the hottest takes.
Is that even that hot a take?
Well, what about Amanda Nunes? She beat
Yeah.
Cyborg.
I know, but now she's lost since, right, to Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
Head-to-head matchups matter. A win over somebody matters, obviously, and
Right.
Nunes has a win over Cyborg. But then if you do that, you get down the path of like, now is Juliana Pena the greatest?
Sure.
Like I don't play that game. Resumes, looking at them in totality, I think it's Cyborg.
Because Cyborg
Really
did it
do.
longer?
Cyborg's done it longer.
This is
Has done it more.
blowing my mind. A lot of people
I mean,
thought
is she not? Okay, so let's assume Valentina's number one. Is Cyborg not like number two?
I have it Valentina, Amanda. Honestly, I have it right now. Valentina, off the top of my head, Valentina, Amanda, Juliana. You know what? You could even put Juliana over Amanda, to be honest, because she beat her. But
This is wild to me.
The one-
We're talking about the best female fighters on the planet right now.
yeah, she just beat Amanda Nunes. And then Cyborg is who's Cyborg beating lately?
Man,
Arlene. I mean, like these aren't.
I get it. Who's Valentina been beating in her?
Well, first of all, a lot of people thought she beat Amanda, right? In the second fight,
Yeah.
the one in Edmonton, the 5-round fight.
Well, I mean, if we're including her bantamweight run, then
Well, that's
this
why
is
she had-
irrelevant because she's lost
but
a bunch.
No, but isn't that the whole purpose of this exercise? Like,
I
who's
thought you were
the
saying who's the best.
yeah.
Best right now,
But because of her
Cyborg-
success,
in my opinion. Maybe, I mean, hell,
How
could be
could you-
Kayla Harrison, to be honest. I'd need to see it. But
listen. But how do you won't get any arguments out of me there? But how are you supposed to put Cyborg over Nunes?
because again, head-to-head matters. That night, that one fight, that one night matters, but it's not the be-all, end-all, in my opinion.
Okay.
Either way, we went down.
We can have a
sorry, I did
fascinating
this. I
debate
did
about this. I don't agree with you on it, but it's fine. Pound for pound is a funky one. Although in women's MMA, it's actually a little bit easier because a lot of them have done 35, 45, 25. Regardless, do you run it back? So since you thought Tyler, you don't.
You know,
I'm usually not in favor with the contender getting an immediate rematch if they lost. But because of that, because of the head clash,
well, who are you asking me? Are you asking me as me, New York Rick? Do I want to see that fight again? Or
No,
are you
if
asking
you're
me
the
as
UFC. Yeah,
No,
no.
you don't run that back. To Miesha Tate's point, she doesn't have the name value. She was the challenger. It's you move on.
It's tough
You hope
nuts.
that Miesha Tate gets it done against Lauren Murphy, and you book that as soon as you can.
okay, do you do?
Biggest name that she can fight by far, other than 35.
It actually makes the Miesha Tate fight more interesting. If Miesha looks amazing at 25,
Yeah.
she called it, right? Everyone would be like, oh, if she does the same thing, like the buildup will be.
It's right there. This will be the most notable, not the most tough, not the toughest opponent she's going to face, but this will be the most notable fight that Valentina Shevchenko will be in at 125.
You're okay with Miesha getting a title shot after one win at 25?
Yeah.
Based on legacy, name, all that stuff.
Again, this is specific to the flyweight division, right? This is specific
of course.
to
Yeah,
Valentina Shevchenko and this division. Yeah, I don't think that's
Well, Yuri got a title shot on 2 wins, so it's not that big of a
Yeah.
difference. Okay, so then let me ask you this.
Do I think Tyler Santos deserves another crack at it because of that performance? Yes, 100%. That was impressive, and I think she should. Do I think she will? Ultimately, probably not. It's a lot easier to move on from the challenger than the champion.
I tell you what, slowly but surely, business getting a little more interesting at 25. Manon Fiorot fighting September 3rd against Caitlin Chukagian. Going to be a tough one for her. Caitlin's just so tough. She's very much like John Fitch, back in the day where she's not going to win the belt, but she's going to beat everyone else.
Yeah.
Alexa Grasso returning. She's looked good at 25. But I agree with you on that. Here's the thing. Remember last time she was on, Valentina, she talked about 35.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the fight hadn't played out yet. Do you now pause those plans? If Miesha wins, do you pause those plans regardless of what happens with Juliana and Amanda?
What's the rush up to 35? That'll be there. If you get this Tate fight thrown in your lap now, take advantage of it and run. Yeah. Absolutely.
Honestly, you could probably like the way you sell it, Valentina moving up to 35 to fight Juliana, if that's the fight.
Or Amanda.
Well, no, here's the thing. Valentina Miesha is, I think, a bigger fight than Valentina Juliana, even though it's Valentina moving up to 35. I wonder, though, if Valentina Misha is a bigger fight than Valentina Amanda 3 if Amanda wins and it's the trilogy fight. You know what I mean?
So you think the second belt is not going to elevate that over the Tate fight?
Because Tate's such a big name. It's just one big brother.
Valentina getting a chance to hold 2 belts, that to me moves it up.
Tate's pretty mainstream.
Oh, listen, we just both said that this is the fight to make.
Yeah.
No doubt. That second belt for Valentina would move it up in my mind. I think that would be a huge fight.
I wonder if she gets the rub from Big Brother. Like, is there a trickle-down effect there?
Come on, from Big Brother?
No?
Oh God, are we doing this? This is the Tommy Fury stuff all over.
I don't know. Is it? I've never. You're the challenge guy.
Are the Dancing with the Stars fans coming out for Paige Van Zant's fight?
I think didn't she initially get a bit of a rub from it?
Oh man.
Also, she didn't win. She didn't win.
Social media, TV. It doesn't translate. People don't buy pay-per-views because they were on Big Brother.
Isn't Big Brother like a really, really big deal?
It's a huge show. So is Love Island. So I'm slagging off Tommy Fury. So is Love Island.
Not the same.
They're huge. I don't know about that.
Meanwhile, Jake Paul has just booked Madison Square Garden. I mean,
those are both
that small venue for
those are both
TBD
really
opponent.
big shows. Will maybe Misha Tate have a spark of recognition to them when they hear about it in their entertainment trade or whatever they're following?
Yeah,
sure. Will it lead to any significant difference in terms of the fight game? 0%. Nothing. Not a 1.
We're about to focus on the 205 division now with the upcoming 2 guests, but I want to ask you, because I laid out the 3 options. There's no other options. There's more? Who?
I mean, if John Jones decided one day,
I think he's done.
Hey, it's 205 time. I think
Jones versus Yuri would be fun.
Jones versus Yuri is
be incredible.
I'd watch right now.
Yuri Glover 2, Yuri Smith Ankalaev winner.
Yep.
Or Yuri versus Jan. Nice little scene there afterwards. Which direction? Are you going if you're the UFC?
I think you run it back.
So that one you run back.
Again, this is the champion losing. Right?
Yeah, no, different. I know. I just want to know, because I think you make a case for running both back, neither back, one or the other, like you're saying.
To me, and I felt this way about if Glover had won, I felt like Smith and Ankalaev was off the table. I felt like the Jan fight was there. Let's just do that. It's easy. This one, I think, opens the option. If Anthony Smith or Ankalaev come out and absolutely like starch the other and put on a show and have a performance that can't be denied, I think that puts them in a good position against Yuri. I still think because of how this one played out, people calling this the fight of the year, and off the top of my head, I can't remember one that I was this gripped by. Maybe like
Khamzat Gilbert. Yeah, but this was better.
This was everything. And the champion loses, I don't see a reason not to run this one back. If Anthony Smith or Ankalaev make a statement that can't be denied, I'm okay with that. I don't think Jan made that statement. I thought it was a solid win over Rakic.
But it was a little bit
there's some controversy.
Right, yeah.
Not controversy, but you understand what I'm saying. It wasn't a definitive statement. Rakic got hurt. It happens.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be penalized. He shouldn't be dinged, but that storyline felt specific to Glover. That fight felt like Glover and Jan, they've got their thing going. Let's do it. If Smith or Ankalaev make a statement, I could see that. But for me, right now, without having seen that fight, the rematch makes all the sense in the world. Why not?
It's such an interesting puzzle to figure out.
I would rank that over Jan for sure.
But the thing is, like, for sure. If they book it in Eastern Europe, that's a huge deal.
Of course. I mean, that's...
So Jan has that going for him. Former champion has that going for him. Like I said, Smith, if he does something great, if Ankalaev does something great, and they've already said that was the number 1 contender fight, they have that going for him. I wonder, Glover has the first fight going for him, beloved, but I wonder if, like I said earlier, him being on the verge of retirement hurts him or helps him.
Yeah, they don't maybe want to put him in that position.
Wins, and then he walks off. I don't know. I wonder.
I mean, what a fight it was, though.
It was just so great. It's just such an easy fight to sell, right?
Hey, this was the best fight of the year. Let's do it again. I mean, it has Moreno and Figueiredo written all over it. It was like, this was so good that we cannot not do this again.
Do it in Prague. Imagine they do it in Prague. You saw that scene?
And that's the other thing. Like, yes, I get that Yuri and Jan would be huge, right? No doubt. Somewhere in Eastern Europe, it would be massive.
Right.
But you're not doing bad with Glover and Yuri's rematch wherever you take that either.
No.
You're doing pretty good. Believe me. That
You think
one
it
would
sells
do
out the
well.
Apex?
Stop.
But that's the thing. That's the thing that like, if Yuri was a boxer after that win, his next fight is happening somewhere in Eastern Europe, specifically Prague is the biggest. They've been to Prague before.
Yeah.
Where he's from, no big stadium or arena. Here, it's going to happen like in sorry, Shaheen, Phoenix. You know, like it's going to be, you know, Yuri.
Usman and Edwards in Salt Lake City.
Come on, Salt Lake City.
Listen, I'm sure Salt Lake City's nice, but yeah, I mean, you put that in London, you put that.
Yes.
Yeah. None of these are bad options. Truly, none of these are bad options.
205, interesting.
For me, the biggest barrier for somebody like Anthony Smith was that loss to Glover is hard to shake, right? That one's hard. Now, him versus Yuri, I'm in. Let me see that. I'm good with it. So there's no bad options here. And Ankalaev, look, the streak he's on, the last performance wasn't a barn burner, but the streak he's on, I'm okay with that too. There's no bad options for the champ.
We'll talk to you in a bit. For now, though, let us focus really on the 205 division and talk to a man.